This is the Sony 50mm f1.2 lens, and yes, you heard correctly. This is Sony's 60th E-mount lens and their first lens that's capable of shooting at f1.2. Coming up, we're gonna take a look at everything that this lens has to offer, along with my impressions, having used it for some portrait sessions. How's it going? My name is Miguel Quiles. I'm a Sony artisan of imagery, and today I have the opportunity to shoot with a lens that is here by popular demand. The Sony 50GM is identical in size and weight to the Sony Zeiss 50mm f1.4, except for about an additional 3mm in diameter. To me, it looks really close to the Sony 85mm f1.4 G Master lens, except it's a little smaller and lighter. The 50GM has a max aperture of f16 that can be adjusted via the aperture ring or adjusted in camera as usual. You also have a click switch that allows you to feel each little adjustment that you make to the aperture ring, or you could have it off and smoothly adjust your aperture settings without feeling each little step along the way. There is, of course, an autofocus and manual focus switch, as well as the inclusion of two focus hold buttons. If you're not familiar, these buttons are able to be customized in your camera menu, just like the custom function buttons that are on the camera body. At times, I have this button set up to start and stop video recording on cameras like the Alpha 7S III that I primarily use for shooting video. On my stills cameras like the Alpha 1 and the Alpha 7R4, I have these set to turn the live view preview off and on, which is really handy when you're wanting to check your ambient exposure when you're shooting portraits with off-camera flash. Having two of these buttons on the barrel means that you can access the button easily when you're shooting vertically or horizontally. As it is with lenses in general, the exciting stuff is what's on the inside of the barrel. The 50GM has 14 elements in 10 groups, 3 extreme spherical elements, along with 11 aperture blades that help provide the beautiful, smooth, circular bokeh that the G Master line is known for. Here's something that's pretty interesting. If you've used other 50mm f1.2 lenses in the past, then you're probably familiar with how slow and inaccurate focusing at f1.2 could be. I remember back in the day having to purchase several copies of f1.2 lenses from other brands in the hopes that I managed to land a sharp copy that didn't require any kind of micro adjustment to give sharp results. Well, those days are over thanks to the 50GM and its 4 extreme dynamic linear motors. These motors are set up in 2 focus groups and allow the lens to quickly move all of the elements quickly and accurately, which means you can achieve fast and accurate autofocus even when you're shooting at f1.2. This lens has a lot of modern technology that make it one of the most advanced 50mm lenses ever made, but what's it actually like to shoot with? To answer that question, I went out and did a portrait shoot to test out the performance. I took all of the photos at f1.2 to see how it would do in a variety of shooting situations. Paired up with the new Alpha 1, there were some things that immediately jumped to my attention. The first thing was how silent the lens was while focusing. Let's see if I can try to capture what this sounds like here in my studio. This lens, as you can hear, is whisper quiet, which should be very interesting for anyone who's wanting to shoot video with this lens. The next thing that really caught my attention was how fast this lens was able to focus. Reading on paper that the 50GM has 4 XD linear motors, which leads to lightning fast autofocus is one thing, but seeing it perform in person is something that is really impressive. I set up a few targets here in the studio to show you how fast this lens is able to acquire an accurate focus using the Alpha 1. Of course, the speed that it focuses doesn't really matter if the shots aren't in focus. And that was another thing that I found to be so impressive with the 50GM. Shooting outdoors the entire time at f1.2 using continuous autofocus with eye detection, I was able to do something that I've never been able to do before, which is to shoot portraits at that wide of an aperture without having to worry about my images being in focus. I was able to rely on this setup to keep my subject's eyes sharp, which freed me up to find unique angles and build rapport as the shoot progressed. Overall, the 50mm f1.2 G Master lens is truly one of the best lenses that I have ever used, and I invite you to test it out when it's available. Speaking of availability, you could check that out as well as the pricing by checking out the link in the description below. You could also leave any questions that you have about the lens in the comment section, and we'll do our best to get you answers. Hey, while you're there, do me a favor, would you? You see that thumbs up button? It's really gray and lonely. Well, for the low price of free, you could turn it blue by simply pressing it. Then, if you click that subscribe button just below it, you'll be plugged into the Alpha universe and will be among the first to know when new videos release. Okay, with that out of the way, let's take a journey through the rest of the Alpha universe by clicking on one of the videos that you see here on the screen. I'll see you there.